Hi everyone. This is my testimony that I have with Jesus. For those who don't know, my name is Julian Esley Smith. I'm married and I live in upstate New York. And so my parents had divorced when I was 4 years old. My dad ended up marrying my stepmom, and later on my mom also got remarried. She ended up getting married two more times, I believe, after my dad and her got married. She was married before my dad as well. So, yeah. My mom is a Jehovah's Witness. My dad is a Christian. And I lived with him till I was 17 years old. Then I moved with my mom to finish my last year of high school. And my childhood was really difficult. I didn't really understand a lot of what was going on, and I always wondered why my parents separated, or why things happened the way they did. My mom was staying at different places after her and my dad got divorced, till she ended up, she ended up dating my stepdad that she's with now. Yeah, she ended up moving in with him, but before she did, there was an experience that I had when she was staying at this one friend's. Her friend had a daughter that was actually a couple years older than me, and we actually did things that we weren't supposed to. I can't remember how old I was. I think I was like 4 or 5, but no one, I don't think, ever really knew that like this stuff happened. But I generally do believe that this is like the incident that kind of got me into like having an addiction with lust. Fast forward to my middle school years, I was hanging out with the wrong crowd. I was, just being rebellious and doing things that, I shouldn't, and just trying to fit in, which I ended up not doing the best in school. But I remember my dad actually ended up getting me like a laptop, and he got it for me one Christmas, and he's like, you can use this for, schoolwork, you can use this for anything. And I ended up going on, websites and stuff, and he told me, not to, but especially like having an experience as a kid, I just didn't really see what the big deal was, because like I kind of thought it was like normal. But looking back at it all, there was something in my childhood that I felt like I wasn't really, like I just felt like I was like lacking in, but I couldn't tell exactly what it was. Like my dad got me things that I wanted. I had a roof over my head, and I had food, clothes, a family. But it just seemed like something was missing my dad. And sex would be a reoccurring theme in my life that would come about often. And I feel like that was like an outlet for me to get my mind off things. So aside from playing video games and just stuff like that, there was another time where I ended up spending the night at my uncle's, which my cousin, as a teenager, or I would spend the night with my cousin at my uncle's. But it was weird because we ended up watching this adult film together. And it was weird because like I knew it was wrong, like even though like I thought it was normal, but to watch it with other people, I just thought like this is a thing. Another incident that I had was I ended up spending the night at my aunt's and her husband's house, and we were all just laying on the floor sleeping, watching this movie. Everyone ended up passing out, but I woke up to the same cousin that would spend the night with me at my uncle's, and he was just being weird. Like, I remember him laying close, like, he was, like, laying next to me, but, like, he was, like, really close to me. And I remember him saying that he needed, like, another pillow. And I remember him grabbing one from his sister-in-laws. And he asked me to go with him, considering that he could have just got one from himself. I thought it was weird. It's like, why couldn't you have just gotten it from, like, a couch or something? But, so he ended up getting one from her. But I remember him saying, she's my sister-in-law. Like, I could actually, like, marry her. And I was just thinking, like, why would you say that? Like, it's just weird. And so I thought that. And then he's like, dare me to touch her boob. And at this point, not only, like, is she your sister-in-law, but it's just weird. I ended up going back to bed, but I couldn't, like, not let her know that, he touched her boob. So when the morning came, I told her, and his mom ended up asking if it really happened, and if it did, that he would be sent somewheres. And, like, I wasn't expecting that to happen, like, for her to say that. I just wanted her, like, his sister-in-law to know that, like, what happened while she was sleeping. But I honestly don't know, like, what happened afterward, because it was, like, that one night that I actually spent the night at their house. Later on, as I mentioned earlier, when I ended up moving in with my mom, I actually ended up transferring to another school to finish my last year in 2015. I ended up dating this girl a month in, and that lasted for 3 years. I thought we were serious for the reason being that we were both, like, virgins, and we lost our virginity to one another, but she ended up cheating on me with her ex, which I walked in on, and it kind of messed me up. After 2 months we broke up, I was on Tinder and trying to get over her, thinking that, like, one night stands would help. And she suggested I try it out to get my mind off things, which it didn't help at all. It actually just made things worse. And I felt numb. I was drinking to the point where I was, having really bad hangovers, smoking weed. I wasn't really dealing with my emotions in a healthy manner, and I didn't care about who I hurt. I was talking to a girl that had a boyfriend. I slept with another girl who I dated for a month, and that ended up, I ended up leaving her because I wasn't over my ex. I was also experiencing sleep paralysis during this time. I didn't know what that was, what was happening when I was experiencing it. I just remember it was, like, terrifying. I couldn't, talk. I couldn't move my body. I was only able to look around. And I had this weird feeling like I wasn't alone. I didn't know what to do other than just shut my eyes and go back to sleep. I woke up later on, and I finally was able to move around and speak again. After time went on, I got over my ex, and then I started talking to my high school sweetheart, which I eventually ended up marrying. We started dating again. I would spend the night at her house, and she did at mine as well. We did a lot of things together. We were doing cosplay together. I started making mixes with electronic music. Everything seemed fine until one night I ended up having this vision of hell, and it traumatized me. I remember being in this really dark tunnel where there was demons, like, tearing the limbs off of people's bodies and doing stuff to them, which I won't say because it's kind of disturbing and disgusting. But I woke up thinking it was just a nightmare, and I just went back to sleep. While COVID was going on about. I ended up being out of work for a while, which led to me moving to Mia's mom's house, and I got another job. We ended up saving money and getting a place with our friends at the time, which didn't end up well. There was a lot of fighting. There was a lot of physical altercations that led us moving into where we are now. 2022 came along, which was the year me and I got married. I started writing and making music, trying to get all the resentment and emotional baggage I had toward my dad and other people from the past to move forward. The same year, my grandfather and my next door neighbor also ended up passing away. The same year. And there was just a lot of things that were happening that I don't really remember much of, other than just working and self-reflecting, just trying to get rid of all the bad memories that I have had of my past. In 2023, I ended up taking a break from music. Started playing a lot of video games, and I was still watching adult films, but to the extreme. I picked up drinking again. Mia didn't know about it until she found the bottles that I was hiding. I ended up having another vision one night, and this is the vision that actually woke me up. I woke. When I finally came to realization that I was dead in my sin. I'm not going to say anything about the dream because it kind of gets me. But I ended up waking up physically from the dream, and I remember going to the bathroom and I cried and I was just bawling my eyes out, and I remember repenting. I can't believe what I was doing. It was just terrible. Because I was having problems with adult films all the way up from middle school until this point, in 2023. And so I had to tell Mia, because I felt so convicted that even listening to secular music, profanity, just negative talk and gossip, I was just really sensitive to. It's like what Romans 12:2 says, and it's to not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So as soon as I left the bathroom, I told her, and she already knew. It hurts me knowing that I hurt Mia, and I don't know where I am with her with trust. And still to this day, it's hard for me to accept that, but praise Jesus. And He saved a wretch like me. I still have a difficult time getting over it. A couple days pass, I ended up texting my uncle, and who is now a preacher, actually. Praise the Lord. But no, I ended up asking him when, Sunday service was, and I was reading the Bible a lot, and I was just, learning a lot about God. And sorry. So, yeah, I was learning about God. I started feeling His presence, and I started to feel peace and serenity that I never felt in my life before. For the first time, I knew in my life what I was missing, and that was the love of Jesus. He healed me from my anxiety, my depression. I had a lot of depersonalization from, smoking weed and drinking. So He ended up helped taking away the cravings of lust. Um, and I can't explain in how much like happiness I felt. Like there was, I remember when I had my awakening, like everything kind of happened so fast. It's like when you, it's like everything around you is like completely new. Like you were literally born again. Like when Jesus says, you must be born again and baptized with the Spirit. I didn't really understand the whole concept of being born again, but I feel like that's like what it was. It's just me being very sensitive to everything. So now that all this stuff has happened, 2024 came along, and I ended up tossing up all my like my band shirts, games that were like M-rated. I had a Kingdom Hearts collection that like I literally had all the limited and collector's editions. I had the games in Japanese, I had books and pretty much everything that you could think of. Tossed all that out. Got rid of all the things that I idolized, along with things like toys and stuff from the past. Because when you encounter His love, it's like all you really want. And when you come to realization that, things will eventually rust or decay, kind of like us, actually. It's like you don't really have a connection with materialism anymore. Like Psalm 23:1 says, "The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want." Because everything is just temporary happiness, and it's not something that will actually like fulfill you. We think that the things that we accomplish and the things that we own like defines us, and it's kind of like a statement saying like, hey, we made it, or like I got all these things, and even with people like that are rich, they have all this money, they have everything that they could ever have and own. And I feel like without knowing Jesus, it's like you have this God-shaped hole in your heart that won't be filled until you actually like experience Jesus yourself. In Matthew 6:19, it actually says, lay not upon yourselves treasures on the earth where moth and rust does corrupt, and where thieves break in and steal, except we should get rid of those things and store up our treasures in heaven, where things don't decay and rust. But all I have to say is Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And all those who are feeling weary and heavy burdened, He will give you rest. So April 30th comes, and I end up texting my uncle my uncle ended up sending me a text, sorry. And he's like, so we're doing baptisms on May 5th. If you want to be there to get baptized, come. And I got baptized, and it's a day that I'll never forget. And I feel like if you ever feel like you can't do anything, like you're a failure or a mess up, or you feel like just nothing can help you feel better because of all the things that you've done, like you're ashamed of, just know that Jesus loves you and that He died for you. 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 21 says, "For He who has knew no sin became sin for us, that we might be made righteous in righteousness of God in Him." So I pray that whoever believes in Jesus, that you just press yourself into him. And even if you don't, just try to look back and think about all the things that, you know, you've experienced in your life. Because, you know, little did I know, you know, I was delivered from places. He took me out of bondage, like Egypt, you know, how people were under bondage from Pharaoh. But it's amazing to keep in mind that, you know, he still was there with me, even when I was dead in my own sin. So I pray that whatever you're going through and wherever you are in life, regardless of what you've done, it doesn't define you. Jesus says, you know, to not sin anymore. And for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, and whoever shall believe shall not perish but have everlasting life. Whenever you feel like you're struggling mentally, just know that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, the principalities, the cosmic powers, and present darkness in the heavenly places. Every man in his best state is altogether vanity. It doesn't matter what you do, because it's like it's all without God. It's all nothing. Like this life can offer you many things, but like I said, we can't take anything with us to the grave. And even when the rich man had came to Jesus and said, "What do I have to do to get into heaven?" And Jesus said, "Sell all your things, give to the poor, and you know, pick up your cross and follow me." And he ended up crying, and he left away because he couldn't get rid of the things that he owned. It's like he feared that because he had all these things that he either, you know, worked hard for, or he owned. It's just these possessions defined him. And when you die, like I said, you can't take anything with you. So I pray that this testimony will help you and guide you and help lead you to Jesus.